Hi, I'm Dr. Charlene Walters, author, business and branding mentor, trainer, as well as your host for Launch, a business talk show for anyone who wants to launch their business, their career, or their life. Hi everyone, welcome to Launch. It's Charlene Walters, your host, and today we have a really special guest, Stephanie Stuckey. She is the CEO of Stuckeys Restaurants. Welcome, Stephanie.
Thank you, Charlene. It's my pleasure.
I'm so glad you're here. Can you tell everyone a bit more about your background and yourself?
Yes, so I had a unconventional route to my current role as CEO of Stuckeys. I'm an attorney by training. I practiced law for over 30 years, started out as a public defender.
Great.
Then I ran for office and got elected. I served 14 years in the Georgia State House.
Wow.
And got very involved in environmental issues during that time. Served on the Natural Resources Committee, left that role to head up an environmental law firm, and was doing that for several years when the mayor of Atlanta, who's a friend of mine, called me and asked me to head up sustainability for the city of Atlanta. And so I did that for several years, absolutely loved that role. And then we had to change administration. He could not succeed himself. He was term limited out. And I was working another job in sustainability when I had the completely unexpected opportunity to buy majority shares in my family's business. And I turned around and I ended up buying all the shares. But it started out as an opportunity to buy shares and led to me taking over the company and working on completely reviving the company. And in the background, here's my other job. I have 2 kids.
Yes. That is a whole nother job for sure.
Yes. So I try to condense a lot in there, but I think overall, what I'd like to stress to listeners is it's never too late. I was 53 when I had the opportunity to do a total career pivot. You just have to jump in and do it. You can have a career pivot later in life.
That's so interesting and true. You know, people become entrepreneurs at all different points in their careers. I just had this discussion the other day because people are living to be 100-year-old. So we've got to have those 100-year plans. We can do all kinds of different things, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. And your mind can just be as sharp as ever. People are taking better care of themselves. My 86-year-old father, who ran Stuckeys before me, he calls me all the time.
He wants to get in on it.
His opinion about how I'm doing things.
Oh, that must be a blessing and a curse all at the same time.
Both. I mean, we can get into family businesses if you want, but they can be wonderful. But there's also that personal, emotional dynamic, and that's definitely there with us.
Yes, absolutely. Such a rich history. Can you tell us a little bit more about Stuckeys and what makes your restaurants unique?
Let's make a trip to the Wayback Machine, 80 plus years, 1937, Easton, Georgia. It was a bumper crop year for pecans. And where I'm from originally in middle Georgia, that is the heart of pecan country, where more pecans are grown than anywhere else in the world. So my grandfather, it was during the Great Depression, and he was looking for a side hustle from farming. And there were lots of pecans. They were plentiful. And he started selling pecans on the side of the road, and it grew from there. I'll fast forward some 30 years, and he has a chain of over 350 stores on the side of the road. He was always offering his products as a roadside stand, and it grew to a store. But we really were, Stuckeys was the first roadside retail. We had gas, we had clean restrooms, we had pecans, and then that grew into pecan candies, my grandmother's recipes, and I've got some here. Pecan log rolls is what we're best known for. Pralines, divinity, fudge. So we made candies ourselves, and we sold them at the stores, along with just really kitschy, fun souvenirs like rubber alligators and coonskin caps and Duncan birds. So all the fun stuff you may remember as a kid if you grew up in the 60s, 70s, or even maybe early 80s. So that was us. My grandfather sold the company in 1964, year before I was born. It was out of family hands for decades. My dad got the company back in 1985. He
Awesome.
was running several companies at the time. And frankly, he got Stuckeys when it was a total mess.
Oh,
And
wow.
he righted that sinking ship. He ran the company until about 2012 when he and his business partner sold their other business interest, and Stuckeys was left being run by a skeleton crew
Okay.
and had been losing money since 2015. And my dad and his former partners who owned Stuckeys, it was closely held family business, they wanted to sell their shares. Frankly, it was losing money, and they thought we need somebody to come in and bring some fresh life to it. And here I am, the middle child. Nobody thought I would
Oh,
do it.
and here
No
you
one else
are,
wanted
right?
it. Yeah, my three brothers were like, no, we'll pass.
Oh my goodness. I'm a middle child too. Leave it to the middle child to get things done, right? I think that works sometimes.
Absolutely. Charlene, have you read studies on middle children?
I haven't read a ton. I've read a few, but they are kind of the go-getters. They just want to do their own thing. From my own experience, I feel.
Yeah, I think because we are stuck in the middle, we are consensus builders. We sometimes are appeasers, which can be good and can be bad,
Yes.
but we're also, I think we're humble.
Yes.
I'm bragging about how we're humble. We're
I
humble.
know. I was too, so I don't know.
But we're sometimes overlooked. We're in the middle, and
Right.
there's just a hustle and bustle. And here's this kid who's stuck in the middle. And for that reason, I think we actually make really good leaders because we are team players.
Yes.
And I think the absolute best leaders are the ones who recognize that they can't do it all. There are gaps in your skill sets, there are gaps in your emotional capacity. You need to have people who balance out not just your background and experience, but balance out your character.
Yes.
And when you're in the middle, you go with the flow and you learn to balance things. So
That is true. Yes. Long live the middle children of the world. We
yes,
will get things
yes,
done
shout
and
out. Shout out for us middle kids.
So it's really interesting your family's involvement in the business for so long. Would you say that entrepreneurship runs in your blood?
Absolutely. And I will say a little about entrepreneurship. I think it's overused these days. It seems like everybody is saying, I'm an entrepreneur.
Yes.
Well, it's hard work.
Yes. It really is hard work.
It takes a lot of grit.
It does take a lot of grit. What would you say are some of the biggest challenges of being an entrepreneur, in your opinion? And what do you do to get over those?
I think the kind of person who's attracted to being an entrepreneur is someone who is very independent, who has a sense of urgency, and who has great ideas and wants to execute them, right?
Yes.
The challenge with that is that building a business is hard, and it's
Yes.
going to take a long vision, and it's going to take patience. And that's
Absolutely.
not necessarily typically what I've seen is an attribute of an entrepreneur. So that's where I get to the team concept. I surround myself. One of my top team members, it's a guy, but I call him Debbie Downer. He is constantly coming up with 20 reasons why any idea I throw out there will not work.
Right.
I used to hate it. He drove me crazy. But then I learned to embrace it because I thought, this is slowing me down. This is making me think through all the steps. And this is making me be more methodical about how we approach this. Now, we still move forward a lot of the time with the ideas I throw out, but they're so much stronger because I've gotten a little bit of patience and thought.
Yes.
So to me, that's a huge challenge of being an entrepreneur, is just realizing that you have to be in it for the long haul. We
You
watch these
absolutely
shows like
do.
Shark Tank, right? And they're like, yeah, we'll invest in you and overnight you're going to be a success. That just doesn't happen.
Yes. I
I
know.
mean,
That's why,
Stuckeys has been out of 80 years.
amazing. It's so true. And so many entrepreneurs that I meet with and talk to, they're like, I want to do what you're doing instantly. And I said, well, how long has it taken me to do all this? You have to put in the work. And a lot of people
Yes.
don't see that. They only see the end result. They see the success. They think it's all going to be that easy. And it's dangerous because I think you're right. We do glamorize entrepreneurship these days, and it's not as glamorous as we're making it seem most of the time.
Access to capital is such a challenge too.
Yes.
And you have to be patient for that. Yes, there is money out there to be had if you've got a good idea and you're willing to work for it, but it comes with all sorts of strings. Every
Absolutely.
way you get capital, there are strings. If you go on one of those shows or you get private equity or you get venture capital funding, they're going to want something in return.
Oh,
They
yes.
want a piece of the pie, they want equity, they want control. So you might get the money you need, but you're going to sacrifice some of that independence that makes being an entrepreneur so much fun. You're going to sacrifice being able sometimes to be nimble. You can't make quick decisions if you have to go through the private equity investor panel. You can go
Yes.
through a bank, which is the way I got funding, and through the SBA, so government loans. But guess what?
Absolutely.
Everything I own is collateral now.
Yes.
So I'm fine with that. I'm willing to take the risk because I believe in what I'm doing, but it's a cost. So you have to just recognize, and you have to be willing to make those hard sacrifices. It was not easy to put my house up as collateral. My house is
No.
collateral. If I do not fail, I mean, if I fail, if I don't succeed, the bank gets my house.
Yes. It is a big risk, a
That
calculated risk.
motivates you. That motivates the heck out of you.
That's true. That is a big motivator, and it is just be willing to take that risk and to jump out there. I think that's one of the biggest and hardest things about becoming an entrepreneur is that risk factor. And I think that's why you see a lot of people talk about it, but not actually launch into doing it. So starting as a side hustle is always a good approach, like your grandfather did back in the
Yeah.
day. Side hustles work for a reason.
Well, and failing fast is a phrase that my business partner, so I have a partner and he jointly owns Stuckey. So that was one of the smartest things I did was after I got full acquisition of Stuckeys, I brought in a partner to help me run the business and frankly help share the risk. And so
Yes.
we're equal 50-50 owners and it's just a great team. But he uses this phrase, fail fast. And he said, Stephanie, if you want to try some of these ideas of yours, most of the time he's willing to give them a shot. I'm the one who's always throwing out stuff. But he said, let's structure it in a way that we can get out of it and we can
Yes.
fail fast. Let's pilot it. Let's try this concept in a small market. So you have to constantly, I think, to be effective in starting a business or running even reviving a business, which is what I'm doing. Do these little pivots, give it a shot, but then recognize when it's not working
Yes.
and pivot, or what do I need to do to fix it? Recalibrate.
And go back to that plan B, that plan C.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's great that you have a partner who thinks differently than you. You talked about this a little bit before. I'm very similar to you where I just kind of leap sometimes before I look. So it's good to have those people who kind of keep you, in check and make sure that you're taking calculated risks and that you're doing things in a way to mitigate the risk, as it sounds like your partner is doing, which is great. And speaking of risks and changing times, during the pandemic, it's obviously been just a whirlwind for restaurant owners. How have things changed for you?
So we have an interesting structure at Stuckeys. This is the business I bought. I bought
Yes.
it as is. So if anyone out there has dealt with this, if you acquire a business, it's not the business you would have built had you had it from the ground up.
Right.
So Stuckeys Corporation does not own or operate any of our stores.
Got it.
In fact, they're not even a franchise program. They called it a franchise when I took over the company and I looked at all the contracts being a lawyer and I consulted outside counsel. We're really operating a licensing.
Okay.
And so just big picture, we don't have a lot of control over our stores.
Got it.
And so the pandemic, because of that structure, actually did not affect us as much
Yes.
because we didn't control the stores, but it definitely affected us in that when I started running Stuckeys, the majority of our revenue was from sales of our product in the store. So we have a distribution center and we were making our money from branded Stuckeys products and also sourcing merchandise and selling that to the stores,
Got it. Okay.
getting our markup, right? So that revenue went down because the stores weren't doing as well, because people weren't stopping. So when they did poorly, we did poorly. And we only have 65 branded locations, so not a large number of stores. So what we had to do to pivot was a couple of things. We had to find more markets for our product. We went online.
Okay.
We were online already, but our website was not very good. We were averaging about 3,000 net a month in sales. We're now averaging 10,000 a month.
Great.
We've revamped the website, and we just started. We don't have a lot of money, so I was just doing Google ads, Facebook ads, Instagram ads, created all the social media platform accounts for us. We didn't have any of that. So just getting the message out that we're here, you can buy our products online. The big game changer for us was getting in third-party retail stores.
Yes.
So we have Ace Hardware that sells our product, not every Ace Hardware, but some 250 locations. We are in convenience stores. We're in gourmet grocery stores, boutique type gift shops. Dollywood is carrying our product.
Oh, great. That seems like a good match.
Yeah, there's a cool barbecue store in Branson, restaurant in Branson, Missouri that's carrying our product. So we're just all over the place, and that is growing insanely. I get like 5 new accounts a day.
Awesome.
For these small, independent, boutique-y type retail stores. And then getting in big box chains, we're getting in grocery channels. And then, so what really we realized, in order to scale the way we need to scale, we have to control production. So we bought a candy plant, we bought a pecan shelling plant, we financed it through the SBA and with bank loans.
Wow.
So that was our big, audacious, like, this is our game changer. We got to double down on production. We got to own the product.
Yes.
And then our margin is so much better because we own the manufacturing facility and we run the distribution center. So we control those 2 aspects.
That is so amazing. What is your best-selling product?
Right here. My grandmother came up with this recipe in the 1930s, and it is amazing. We do our SKU analysis, and SKUs are how you identify the different items that a store sells. It's a retail term.
Yes.
And our SKU analysis, which we run every month, we show, what's selling best and where do we have our best margins too. And it's consistently the 2-ounce pecan log roll, the 4-ounce pecan log roll, the 6-ounce pecan log roll, the 6-ounce pecan log roll that comes in a box, it's like a gift, and the 10-ounce pecan log roll.
Amazing.
Every single month, it's the log roll.
Go grandma.
The best thing we make. In fact, this is what made me decide to buy this failing company. Is I did a Google search, and Stuckeys hadn't done any marketing in decades. When my dad had the company, he didn't. There was no advertising campaign, and so we had no advertising in decades. And I Googled pecan log roll. Stuckeys was the first hit.
Amazing.
I was like, that's what I'm buying. I'm buying a brand.
And do you think that that product is really appealing to consumers' emotions, nostalgia? Is that why? Yes.
Yes.
That is
absolutely. And, initially I was like, oh, we got to modernize. We got to come up with new products. And yes, we are doing that. But the numbers don't lie.
Right.
The statistics don't lie. The metrics don't lie. People buy this. It's all ages. I mean, I get social media feedback from people of all ages, of all races, of all backgrounds, all parts of the country. I get Jewish people love Stuckeys, which is crazy to me. I've been talking with a wonderful firm about hopefully getting us kosher certified. Great. Because we had a lot of Jewish families who would live predominantly up north. I hear from a lot of them. And their grandparents would retire in Florida, and they would get in the car and go on family vacations and drive to Florida. And they always stopped at Stuckeys, and they started buying our pecan log rolls, and they want to eat our log rolls again. So I'm hoping we'll be able to get kosher certified. There's some steps involved and some cost involved, but I would love to be able to offer that.
That
So
sounds
that's
like
just one example of the many types of people. We have a lot of African American families who remember that in the 50s, we were one of the very few roadside establishments that was not segregated.
oh, nice.
So there's generations of families who grew up eating our pralines and pecan log rolls and divinity because that's where they were able to stop. It was the only place they could stop.
Such great memories and such a
Yeah.
great rich history that's carried forward and people remember it so fondly. So that's really amazing and great that it's continuing to carry on to new generations and that you're largely behind it. And you told me recently that you're renovating the original pecan shed built by
Yes.
your grandfather. Tell me more about that.
Total surprise. So I said my grandfather started selling pecans on the side of the road. It was a little lean-to shack. And recently I got a phone call a couple months ago, and a man I knew in Eastman, and he said, you know, that shed your grandfather started selling pecans out of, it's in that vacant lot behind Jimmy's warehouse on Industrial Road. And I happened to be in Eastman that day. And so I drove out there immediately, and there it was, covered in weeds. It is still standing. It's amazing.
That is
And
amazing.
it took me some time to find some people who are willing to help me. And I'm just so grateful to the LinkedIn connections that I've made, because I posted on LinkedIn and a couple folks came forward, including Georgia Tech.
That's great.
Their building construction school, or one of their professors of building construction, he wants to make it a class project. And
Cool.
then there's a local architect who's willing to donate a lot of his time. We're going to need to get some money together to pay for some equipment and basic labor costs, but everyone is giving us pro bono or low bono services on this project. So we're going to restore it and move it to Rennes, Georgia, outside of our candy plant.
How awesome is that? And what a way to bring the community together and get everyone behind your brand. Such great news.
Yeah, it's fun. It's really fun. I think my
Okay.
grandfather would be happy. And I've got some great photos of him standing in front of that original shed.
Oh,
So
nice.
would love to, have that. I haven't entirely decided what to do with it during pecan season. We could definitely sell some pecans out of it, but
Yes.
really just putting it in a place where it's going to be preserved and celebrated. And it could just be a photo op.
Right,
Just have it
exactly.
sitting out there if you want to go hang out in the pecan shed.
You can now, right?
Yeah, I guess I should do some sessions on just coming up with what are some uses of it. Just have some
Yes.
brainstorming around it. But first and foremost, we're going to restore it. But how we use it will determine some of the ways that we restore it. Do we want
Definitely.
air conditioning? Do we want electricity?
Throw it out to social media. I'm sure people will have
Yeah.
a lot of great ideas.
What should we do with this? Yeah.
So awesome, so cool. I'm going to keep following that because I really like the idea and I think it'll be great for your business too. So I'm going to switch things up a little bit. I like to play a little game. It's called If You Tell Me Yours, I'll Tell You Mine. Are you ready, Stephanie?
Okay, let's go.
First question, are you a listener or a talker?
Oh, okay. True confession. I'm a talker and I need to be more of a listener.
I am
Yeah.
exactly the same as you. I'm a talker. That's good, right? We like to talk.
Yes. One of the tricks I do is I always have a drink handy, and
Okay.
it forces you to pause if you just remind yourself. Plus you get hydrated.
It's important
my
to
way of-
listen. Yes, we can.
Yeah.
I could benefit from that too myself. Okay,
So listening.
next question. What's your favorite children's story?
I love Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day by Judith
yeah.
Forrest.
That is a great one. I love that. I remember reading that to my kids. And how old are your kids again? They are 15 and
19. The
wow.
one you saw is 19.
Very
Just
nice.
finished his freshman year at Auburn.
Oh, hooray for you. Yeah, I think I told you earlier, mine are 14 and 16. So great ages we have. These
Busy
kids.
ages.
Growing up too fast, though, I would definitely say.
Yes.
My favorite children's book, I would say, is Goodnight Moon. I just really remember reading that to my kids, and I always love that.
Yeah,
Next,
the Alexander book, the reason I love that so much is some days just suck.
yes.
I mean, just they do, and it's just your turn. You just accept it.
Yes.
Don't follow in it, because at the very end, he's like, "Yeah, some days are just bad." Even in Australia, if you know the book, throughout the book, he keeps
Right.
going, "Oh, but it'd be better if I was in Australia. If only I were in Australia." And at the end, he's like, "Yeah, some days are just bad, even in Australia."
I hadn't even thought about that book in so long. Yeah, it's so true. Such a good lesson, that the kids are getting while we're reading it to them. But it's so true. We do have the ups and downs, and I always talk to people, particularly as an entrepreneur, you have really big wins and then these really hard failures and rejections. So you have to be able to come out of them with something.
And not only that, talk about the failures.
Yes.
We don't talk enough in the business community or in general about failure. And it's such a critical part of our growth and our development. And if you don't talk about it, if you don't learn from it, if you don't process it right, you just try to shut it away and like, okay, we're just going to talk about these wins, you are losing out.
Absolutely.
And so I'm a big advocate for just posting on social media my journey completely unvarnished. Today was a bad day. Today sucked. Let me tell you why. And then I try to end on something positive, because you don't want to wallow in it, but you need to talk about it, or else you're not going to deal with it. Don't just shut away the sucky days.
That's true. And on LinkedIn recently, there was, a trend where people were posting all the places that rejected them and didn't hire them. And I thought that was so cool to see, like, I was rejected by da-da-da-da-da. I was rejected, People don't. They do just show their successes often. So it's more realistic to show the mistakes, to show the failures, the setbacks. So good for you for actually putting that out there.
Yeah, or you got fired.
Yes.
I've been fired. It is no fun. What do you mean? I was rocking it.
I know.
Nothing more humbling.
Yes, that is definitely a humbling experience. And I think a lot of people, things are changing so much now with the pandemic and people resigning or getting laid off. It's just a whole different, workforce and world. So it's really nice that we can all lean on each other with these kind of experiences and stories.
Yeah.
All right.
It just wasn't a good fit, right? I mean, some things just aren't a good fit, and you got to put it in perspective, and you got to share that journey, and others can learn from it. And I just think it's disingenuous, and it's also for young people, especially who are trying to learn, and they're looking on social media, and all they see is success, success, success. It's dangerous. It can make people insecure when the reality is far from that. So
yes, sorry. I completely agree. It's good to put a little reality check out there from time to time. Okay, next question, and it's the last question. What's one childish thing you still do?
Oh, go on road trips and buy totally useless, fun souvenirs.
Oh, great.
I love to collect snow globes.
Oh, nice. My daughter likes that.
They're completely useless. They serve absolutely no useful function, right? You just shake. I just love the whole concept of, especially the snow globes that just totally don't make sense.
Right.
A snow globe of Florida. Like, it's never going to snow there. I love, a snow globe from Buckingham Palace.
Right. That is
just totally being covered in snow. Like, those are fun. I love the old school ones too.
Yeah.
So I buy them on eBay. I like the ones from the 1950s.
Very nice. Something I really like.
Good snow globes.
I know, they're so great. And what I like still, I grew up in a really small town, and the big thing that happened was the fair or the carnival. So anytime I see a fair or something like that, I just want to go and grab some fried dough, ride on the rides. I mean, I think it's just one of those things left over from being a kid. Well, it's been so much fun, Stephanie, and I've learned a lot about you and your business, and it's been so great. Where can the audience find out more about you?
Easy, www.stuckeys.com. LinkedIn is probably where I'm the most active. but I
Okay.
post every day on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And I am starting to venture out on TikTok.
Very
So
good.
we'll see about that. My handle is at Stuckey Stop. And then Stuckeys is usually on social media as Stuckeys Pecan, since somebody already took the name Stuckey. So you can find the corporation as Stuckeys Pecans and me is at Stuckey Stop. And I almost exclusively post about road trips, candy, nostalgia, and nostalgia is like 70s, 80s. And, you know, I still have my environmental roots. So you will see posts, especially on Twitter, about the environment. It's still a passion of mine. So I'll still put some stuff out there about sustainability.
Awesome. And it's a lot for everyone to follow, which is great. And everyone be sure to follow Stephanie. And until then, we will see you next time on Launch.